to Merry Maniacs, and here we go, Vince. We are doing Star Wars: The Last One. Is that what it's called? The Last One?
Space Fight, the big one, the last one.
Yeah.
It's called, actually, Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker.
Number 9. ...
until the next one.
Exactly.
That's actually kind of like what I felt about the end of this movie.
Okay, I'm going to jump right in here, Vince, because, you know, I was...
Dive right in. Get your feet wet.
I was discussing it with him off the phone, or actually I was on the phone. Off
camera.
Off camera, that's what I'm trying to say. And we were getting in a heated discussion about this. I was like, let's get on the camera. We got to do it.
We're rolling. Becky, stop what you're doing.
I did.
Put down the vacuum cleaner.
She was up there vacuuming. I said, you need to do it now.
Quit changing out the cat litter.
Like right now. We're doing this.
Let's get this out of the way real quick here. First of all, because our last review for The Last Jedi, we spent an inordinate amount of time talking about all the fanboys and all the hatred and all the crap that comes out before this movie comes out. And this one was no exception. And as a matter of fact, with this one, I would say it was 20, 50, 30, 80, 150 times worse.
Well, I actually didn't hear about it until that freaking Thursday that we went to go see it. I mean, we said this in all these Star Wars reviews, that it's not fun for fans, or at least me anyway, to go see a Star Wars movie anymore because we have to put ourselves in a freaking bubble and just not hear anything and not listen to anything and not turn the TV on and not get on the computer and just not hear anything. It's not fun. And it's like the last Star Wars movie, I actually was wearing... Hang on, knock my light over. I was actually wearing headphones until the movie started because I didn't want spoilers for it. And this movie is like, I don't even care anymore. I was just like, you know what? I'm so sick of this. If I hear something about it, I hear about it. I don't care. But then I didn't hear anything about it until that Thursday. And then someone comes up to me, he's like, oh my God, did you hear what the critics said? The critics hate it. They hate the movie. They hate the movie. I was like, oh, well, I don't want to hear anything about the film. Oh, well, I'm just telling you they hate the movie. I said, that's great. You know, you don't need to sit there and tell me right in my face.
So, yeah, that's what I'm getting at was like, I don't know, it was weird because like the very first trailer that came out and introduced the title and all that, and then of course we heard, and I'm not giving anything away here because if you saw the teaser trailer, you heard the Emperor laugh at the end of it. So everybody was all excited, the Emperor is going to be in this one, you know. And then the final trailer came out, and that was a big deal. Once again, they're showing little bits of the Emperor, so he's in there. And it seemed from that final trailer, everybody was like, wow, can't wait for this. Everybody was like super excited. They were even more excited than the first time. And then right after that, it seemed like that's when all the haters came out.
And yeah, I managed to make it until Tuesday, and then I start seeing people's reactions like, or, well,
yeah.
Oh my God. And then Polygon tweeted out a picture from one of the trailers that I hadn't watched, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, if I just got spoiled for something in this movie because of a picture that a video game website tweeted out, I'm going to be so mad. So mad. I mean, it turned out it wasn't that really big of a deal, but to me it was.
Going into it and sitting down and watching it, I couldn't wait to see it. I was excited about it. Once again, I was like, you know, I was like a kid in a candy store waiting for it. And overall, I have to say, I liked the movie for the movie. However, I have definite issues with it because it's basically 2.5 hours of J.J. Abrams fixing The Last Jedi. I mean, that's really what it is. What it comes down to. It's him trying to fix what Rian Johnson completely fucked up.
First of all, I loved his first film. J.J. Abrams' first movie. It was action-packed. It was like, you know, breakneck speed. There was so much stuff going on. You got to see stuff you didn't get to see for the last 20 years. You got to see the Millennium Falcon. You got these new characters, and they were awesome. And the story was cool, and it was exciting, and all that, you know, it was a great film. And then you get to the second one, and they're like, hang on, let's put the brakes on here. Let's not make it so exciting, and not make it so great, and get all these characters that were so fantastic together, split them up, and have no interaction between any of these people anymore, and not make it as fun or anything like the first movie whatsoever, and let's completely not do anything the first movie did. And then we get to the third film, and now we get who? Who do we get? The Emperor. And I have zero problems with that. I have absolute zero problems with bringing the Emperor back. In fact, it's a great idea. It's a fantastic idea. But what makes me so freaking mad about this film is we were denied a second film that led up to this movie. And that's what he was trying to do in this film, like you just said, was trying to make like another movie had already happened, and it didn't happen. And the whole time I was watching this film, I'm like, oh, that would have been great for the last one. Oh, that would have been great if they showed that in the last one. Oh, what would that be awesome? And I was like, I was so mad that I got denied a great trilogy because we didn't have a build-up to this movie.
Well, that's the problem with not having a plan.
Yeah, they didn't have a plan. They did not have a beginning, middle, and end. They had a beginning, they might have had an end, but then the middle, like, whatever, just throw this out. And
I would bet money that they did not have an end when they made The Force Awakens. They didn't know what Episode 9 was going to be. They had no idea.
You're saying that they probably didn't have a plan. Maybe they didn't. Whatever. But whatever plan that they had, it didn't matter anymore because Rian Johnson got in there and f***ed it all up. And I'm sorry for doing that, but yeah, that pissed me off.
Are you allowed to swear on these videos?
no, you can't swear on the videos, Vince. That's exactly what I'm saying, Vince, is if the first one had... Okay, this is my envision of the three films. The first one, okay, you don't have the Emperor in it, fine, whatever. You get to the second film, maybe Kylo Ren finds out that there's another Force. He feels something happening in the Force, and he doesn't know what it is, and sort of like this one is he wants to be in charge. He don't want anyone else to be in charge. He wants to be in charge. So he's out trying to figure out what's going on with this thing that he's feeling about. And then we have Luke, on his other hand, who's not on the island anymore, because he is also feeling something happening in the Force. So he's out trying to find, as they explain in this one, he was out looking for this device. Never really happened because we didn't see it. But that would have been a great plot thing for him to do in the second film, to get together with Rey, and him and Rey out looking for the device, trying to figure out what's happening, and at the very end of this film make the big reveal that the Emperor has returned and explain somewhat how he came back, and then lead in this film. And that is why I'm so mad, because we did not get that movie.
Well, you know what? All the angry fans, like Vince, that raised all the money that they said they wanted to remake The Last Jedi because they thought The Last Jedi sucked, they can use that money and they can go out and they can make that movie.
I don't mind that the Emperor is in this. As a matter of fact, it does make sense, because if you go back and watch The Force Awakens, there's parts in there where, like, when he's talking to the Darth Vader's mask, when he's and stuff like that. There's stuff all the way through it that kind of hints that the Emperor could be in the background somewhere. Then, and even in The Last Jedi, there is one prominent scene in there where Snoke and Kylo are, he brings Kylo in, and as he brings Kylo in, you see General Hux walk by him and give him this weird smile of, like, yeah, I know, I got your number, and you think that's all it really is, but you find out something in this movie that, oh, okay, that makes sense with why he's always been kind of at Kylo Ren the whole time. But behind that, there's Snoke and there's Kylo, and Snoke says things to Kylo of well, I thought you were going to be the next Vader. You were supposed to be the next Vader, and you're not. You're just this child in a mask that keeps whining. Again, it kind of goes back to the Emperor, and that's what you kind of find out in this one. It has something to do with the Emperor, just with that. So I mean, there's been hints that this could happen, but I totally agree with you, Dave and Becky, that some of the stuff that was in this should have happened in the second one.
That whole entire story about leading up to the Emperor would have been a great story, and this leading from that would have been a great film, and he could have probably cut out a lot of crap that's in this movie trying to explain what's going on that he could have put in the last film.
Let's talk about this actual movie.
I am.
let's talk about it though. So I think that there was a lot of good things in this movie and things that I enjoyed. I also think that there's a lot of things in this movie that had to be in there because they're trying to undo stuff from The Last Jedi and set up stuff that they should have set up in other movies but didn't because they had no plan, and now they're trying to create a plan and convince us that it was there the whole time when it was not clearly at all. And I think that there's stuff that they rush through because they have to, because this movie's like almost 3 hours long and still it feels like they're rushing to get everything in. It's like 2 movies worth of stuff crammed into 1 movie. And also, without any spoilers, I think I would be really curious to see what the story of this movie was supposed to have been before Carrie Fisher died. Because, and I doubt that we'll ever know, but I honestly think that you can see, at least I felt like I could see how they had to readjust this movie with the stuff of her that they had to try to make it make sense and not feel completely just cut together out of nothing. And I think that sucks, because I think if she had still been alive, they could have made a great movie with her in it a lot more, but obviously they couldn't do that, and so they just had to work with what they had, and I think that kind of stinks. But, I mean, I don't hate this movie. I enjoyed it. Honestly, real talk, I want to see it again, and I want to watch 7, 8, 9 back to back, because I've only seen Last Jedi once and a half. We saw it in the show, we bought it on 4K, and we didn't make it all the way through it watching it.
Because I fell asleep.
Because somebody fell asleep. Because somebody tends to fall asleep.
And it was really slow.
I mean, we were at the most exciting part of the movie when you decided that you had to sleep.
No, it wasn't. Finn was riding on some dogs or horses or something, and he was trying to break out.
No, we were like all the way at the end. We were at Crate.
That's the last thing I remember.
Well, then you fell asleep before we turned it off,
Oh.
I would say. But anyway, I would be interested to see if it feels as disconnected watching the other 2 leading up to this. My suspicion would be that it does, because
I can tell
watching
you
it the show.
Yeah.
But once you know how things turn out, to see if any of it connects going back. Because it seems like that's what they were trying to do, however ham-fisted they did it, is trying to make it line up and connect for some stuff anyway.
Nope.
And honestly, for real, JJ's just looking out for JJ. JJ's trying to make stuff line up with his movie.
Yeah,
he don't give
that's what I
two
want to say.
craps about Rian Johnson's movie.
I want to say that. It's like, Rian Johnson
Why don't you go ahead and say it?
He didn't put hardly any J.J. Abrams characters he created from the first movie in this film. And J.J. Abrams like, wait a minute, what happened to all the people? So they brought all those people back from the first movie and stuck them in here. He's like, there you go.
And then the one main character from The Last Jedi, Rose, oh, I guess I gotta have her in here, huh? Well, she'll be in it for 5 seconds so that you see that she's, alive and doing stuff. But I don't give a crap about her because she's not my character.
I didn't like her anyway.
Well, I didn't mind her character in The Last Jedi. I didn't mind her character, but I didn't like what they ended up doing with it. And that's another thing I got to say real quick about The Last Jedi is, I know in my last review, after seeing it the first time, I was excited about it, and I got it, and I was like, oh wow, it was great. But there was also a lot of wow to it. And I sat there, wow, I couldn't believe they did this, and wow, they did that. But after watching it again, when I got it on 4K and watched it again, I wasn't as excited as I was the first time I saw it. And each time I've seen it after that, it was sort of like The Phantom Menace in a way. It was like each time I watched it, it was like, oh, this is really crappy. And I didn't like what they did with Luke whatsoever. I didn't like how they did his story in there. And I think that was a big problem, a big problem, and now it shows that it was a huge problem, because that's exactly what happens in this, is JJ is trying to fix that and put Luke back where he's supposed to be, and now it's weird. It's even more weird because you already saw Luke go off the rails. You already saw The Last Jedi completely take Star Wars in a different direction, and now he's trying to, it's almost like he's trying to push an entire train backwards and then put in where it was supposed to go in the first place. And that's what that's the biggest problem with this movie. So the end of it, and I will say the end of this movie, I didn't really feel like there was an ending to it. It was like, it's like, I don't know, it's like it ended this trilogy, but it didn't really end the saga. You know, it didn't feel like it was ending Star Wars. And I mean, not to end it completely, but, you know, the whole point is to end the Skywalker saga, and I don't feel they really did that. Or did it justice, anyway.
Once they continue the Star Wars movie and make it not this anymore and bring in all brand new cast and brand new story, you know some of these characters are going to be in there somewhere, because they're now, like Daisy Ridley is a legendary character in these Star Wars films. And she'll probably end up somewhere along the line, down the line of Star Wars films. So you haven't seen her. I mean, this ain't the last of seeing her. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I realize that. I mean, they could still go and do, you know, spin-offs and all that, and I'm sure they're leaving it open. At the same time, it didn't. I mean, when you saw the end of the original movie, and even the Phantom Menace, or especially Return of the Jedi, you got the feeling of the Empire's gone, and good has triumphed over evil, and here's all the heroes, and they're all together, and everybody, there's love and peace and harmony in the entire galaxy.
The good thing and the bad thing about this movie is that it's very aware of the fact that it's got to try to wrap up 42 years worth of movie history. And that makes it, like, even when, I don't think that this is a spoiler because it's pretty early in the movie, they go to this planet and there's a festival. And they're like, oh, this festival only happens once every 42 years. I'm like, really? It does, huh? That's awful coincidental that you guys just happen to be there 42 years.
Now,
but,
wait. Now I want to say this.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. So, talking about very coincidental stuff in this movie, it had lazy writing. There was a lot of scenes in this movie that were just lazy. They're looking for something. They don't know where it is. They have no idea where this thing is. It could be anywhere in the freaking galaxy. They fall through a hole, and then all of a sudden they find what they're looking for. In a hole, in the ground, on a planet that didn't know existed, and here it is, and this is going to lead them exactly where they need to go. Boom! I mean, it's like...
Well, I mean, you know, that's how MacGuffins work. You gotta go and get the magical space thing to go
as soon
do
as
the
I
next
seen that
magical
scene,
space thing.
As soon as I seen that scene, I was like, oh my god, really? It was one of those, really?
Well, I didn't really have a problem with that either. I mean, and it gave a reason for, it kind of gave a reason for them bringing Lando back into this. And I'm glad that they brought Lando in this. But this is one thing I have been saying with Last Jedi that I don't remember if I said it in the review or not, but the one thing I kept saying about Last Jedi was they had a perfect opportunity to bring Lando in there, and they didn't. And that was really crappy, because it could have been the whole Canto Bight thing. They could have brought Lando in at that point, and they didn't.
Yeah, if they had a plan to do it, then that would have been a great place to do it, yeah. And then they decided to do it afterwards, and they're like, crap, we shot our shot. Now what are we going to do? I don't know, we'll just shoehorn it in, whatever.
This review cannot be as long as the movie. The things that I liked about this film are, you know, it was fun to see Rey together with Finn and Poe, and seeing all together again, I thought that was great. And their interaction was sorely missed in the last film, is back in this film. Also, I thought C-3PO looked great in this movie. He just looked really good in this movie. He was real shiny. I think he's the best C-3PO has ever looked. I don't know why, I just thought he looked great in this film. And I also liked the Emperor. He looked spectacular in this film. And he was creepy, and he was the Emperor. So the Emperor was awesome, and that brought a little scary and a little fear that none of the other movies really had. The other films had Darth Vader and stuff. This had no frightening stuff, no scary stuff, and they bring him in, and he was awesome in this film. They could not have done a cooler version of the Emperor in this film as they tried. So that's the stuff I liked about the film. What I didn't like about the film was it was too much crap going on. It was too fast-paced. He tried to do it like the first one, and and it was just too much stuff happening at the same time, and there was no breathing room to actually sit and enjoy the characters of the story, what was happening, because too much crap was being thrown in your face the entire time. There was zero emotion in this film. I felt zero emotion for anybody in this movie, especially Princess Leia. I thought, my God, here, it was going to be a ridiculously emotional sequence. There was nothing like that in this film. It was no emotion at all in the film, and because of all that, I am giving this film...
Well, hang on.
I'm giving my score. Here comes my final. That's my final.
Right. Go off then.
I'm giving this movie... I'm sure they're going to explain where the Emperor has been. Like I said this to Vince, I don't even think I said it on the video. They're going to explain where the Emperor's been because of Star Wars. So you're going to have a comic book come out, you're going to have another movie come out, you're going to have another CG thing come out.
There's probably already novelizations out.
There's probably a book coming out. They might even talk about it on The Mandalorian, maybe. I don't know, but by this time next year, you're going to know exactly what happened to the Emperor from the point where he was thrown down into the reactor core of the freaking Death Star.
There's a lot I enjoyed in this movie. There is a whole lot that I enjoyed in this film. And I really did enjoy it a lot more than David did. And it's not just because I'm the big Star Wars guy that I am. It's because there is a lot to enjoy in it. And yes, it is fast-paced. There's a lot of stuff coming at you. But none of that really bothered me. I thought there was several points in this movie that I did get emotional. I got emotional over Leia. And I got emotional over 3PO at a couple of parts. I mean, it was an emotional roller coaster. And there's even a scene with Kylo Ren that I'm not going to give away, but there's a scene with Kylo Ren that I got emotional about. So there is plenty of it there. It's just, like I said, the biggest problem is this movie spends just a whole lot of time trying to fix all the screw-ups that happened in the last movie. And I agree with David that, a lot of this should have been in the last movie. It feels like this should have been episode 8 and not episode 9. So, overall, I enjoyed the film. I think it's a fun film. I think it's fun to see. I don't believe in all the hate that's come out, that people are talking about it. I would say to all of you out there, go and watch the movie for yourself and make your own decision. And just leave it at that. Don't worry about everything else. Go see it for yourself. And I enjoyed it, so I will give it a 4 out of 5.
Things that I liked about this movie. Rey is awesome. Seeing Rey and Finn and Poe all together again is awesome because I fully believe that at the end of this movie they go off and get an apartment together and they just live happily ever after, the three of them, because they're best friends and hetero life mates. And also Babu Frick.
Oh yeah, friend.
My tiny mechanically inclined child, baby son, Babu Frick, who's awesome. I like the new robot. I thought he was cute. I thought it was weird that he talked, but I don't have the same feelings as a lot of people about The Last Jedi. I enjoyed The Last Jedi. I liked what they did with it. I liked what they did with slowing things down and trying to explain the Force and the Jedi Order and all that stuff. Stop shaking your head in my peripheral vision. And I think that it's a shame that when they made this movie, they felt the need to grab the steering wheel and vastly overcorrect and swing back in the other direction because they thought, whoa! Because, as I've told Dave many times over the last couple weeks, the specific fan base that you're dealing with here about Star Wars, no matter what you do, they will not be happy about it. There is going to be a section of them that absolutely hates whatever you do. So, Force Awakens is too much like the original. Don't like it. Last Jedi is nothing like the original. What the hell are you doing? Don't like it. So I mean, they're never happy. So you can't listen to that. If you like Star Wars, you just have to go with an open mind and an open heart and see what it does for you. I mean, there was parts of this that I thought were so stupid. So stupid. I don't want to tell you what they are because they're spoilers, but they're hella dumb and didn't need to be in this movie. But that would be a spoiler, so I'm not going to tell you. But overall, I did enjoy it, and I am curious to watch it again and watch this new trilogy all together and see if my feelings change. But for right now, I'll give it a 3 out of 5. It's possible that Dave fell asleep. It's possible that he dozed off.
I was starting to doze off in the middle of it, but I held on to it though.
As far as we know, he held on. We're gonna have to quiz him on plot points to see if there's anything. We'll start throwing in fake ones, and he'll be like, "What? When did that happen?"
Yeah.
So we made basically this whole month pretty much Star Wars, with all of this coming out and The Mandalorian and all that, but it's okay. I'm okay with it. I mean, this is the final film in the Skywalker saga, so it makes sense to have, you know, the last of last.
So smash that like, smash that subscribe button. We're gonna be blasting off in 2020. We're gonna do all kind of. What are we doing in 2020?
I don't know.
We might be blasting off in 2020. We might go to space.